Okay, welcome back. I'm with Louise Haas, Anna Senkara, and Poppy Canny. Just before the break and in the previous segment, we were talking about the changes and how we all need to adapt. One of the companies that may well need to adapt is Primark. We're going to use those as an example because there's a big argument and a big conversation about fast fashion against disposable fashion, sustainability. Now, quoting Drapers Online and The Guardian and the BBC, Primark opened 14 new stores in 2019, adding almost 1 million square feet to their sales space. Their revenue rose 4.2% to 7.8 billion, plummeting to zero sales in March 2020. Now, this is a company that was the epitome of fast fashion, had zero online presence, and you can't see a fall that's far enough. What's your views on that, the fast fashion and also the disposable fashion and the sustainability revolution? And it is a revolution. Can I go to you first, Poppy?
I did think about Primark in terms of the fact that they're probably one of the only, if not the main, massive companies now who still don't have an online presence, and I did think about how hard it'll be hitting them, and I've seen tweets and things of people being like, I bet Primark wish they had gone online now. In terms of fast fashion versus sustainability, it definitely is a growing trend. You're seeing it more and more in all the shops, on all the websites. We're talking about it more in college when I'm studying fashion. And it definitely is coming up more and more in daily life. Me personally, I'd love to switch to it for the greater good, for that kind of reason, but it is more expensive, and very honestly, I'd rather have 2 cheap tops than 1 expensive one, which is so bad. I know it is, but
that is the problem the market is facing. Anna, your view on that?
Yeah, so well, I mean, this fast fashion, it was just such a huge trend recently for many years, and basically people were buying t-shirts for £2, sometimes not even washing them, and then just buying another one again and again. So it's maybe that's, I don't want to say addictive, but it's also very emotional, I think, this way of buying. So you literally crave to buy more. And there was this huge issue, there is this huge issue about climate change and environment, and obviously fashion industry is the second world polluter just after oil industry. So this is such a huge thing, and I think the only solution is basically raising awareness and just going more organic and just buying stuff from countries that take care more about environment and all that. And it doesn't necessarily, in my point of view, come down to the price only, because fashion is a bit like food, I'd say. You can go for fast food, you can eat something really junk, I mean, and then basically you can develop some conditions, diseases, you will pay for medicines, doctors, and so on.
We're getting a lot of what you're saying, but unfortunately your connection keeps dropping out, but I think we're understanding most of it. Louise, you mentioned about luxury brands and a lot of the companies that you work for. Is there a genuine move for sustainability, or is it just small talk and just posturing?
I think the question of sustainability goes into questioning what is sustainable and what makes a business sustainable. So what we all from media or from recent trends understand of being sustainable is something that's ethically sourced or that involves natural materials, etc. What makes a business sustainable is being able to make sales. You know, we all agree on that, and this is why the fast fashion retailers are so successful. I think the question is sustainability really something that can survive in terms of ethicality?
Both Poppy and Anna touched on the fact of cost. does it all come down to wealth? I mean, there seems to be an issue with people being able to afford to purchase sustainable products because a lot of them are more expensive. Do you feel that's the case, Louise?
Sorry, the question still went to me. Sorry for that.
No, it's okay.
I think that is absolutely the point, because as I said, sustainability comes in form of our business is able to make sales, and if the cost point is an essential point from the consumer's perspective, then definitely.
Poppy, is the pre-COVID attitude to fashion itself sustainable? Is it something that can continue whether people want to or not?
No, I don't think so at all. And one of the points I was going to mention that Anna mentioned was that it's the second biggest polluter after oil, obviously. And that's just no good at all. We've seen since lockdown started, the rivers in Prague, no, not Prague, where is it?
Canals in Venice.
That's the one. They've completely cleared up. The animals are back, the water's clear, and that is such a big difference in such a short amount of time, just from people stopping going outside, stopping buying as much, just in general being forced to be more sustainable. So the world can't really go on with how it was. So people, whether they want to or not, are going to have to make a change.
Are charity shops going to be the biggest winners in the retail revolution?
They definitely will get a lot of things, because people have a lot of time to do things like clearing out their wardrobes, clearing out loads of space. I know I did. I completely gutted out my wardrobe, gutted out my makeup. I've got rid of half my clothes. Sold a lot on Depop and have that massive bag for the charity shop. So, and I think a lot of people are doing that, so they probably will make a big one out of it.
I think also the industry is changing, and I'm going to start with you on this one, Louise, because this is a really interesting one. The British Fashion Council are looking at combining men's and women's season in London in June and making it a solely virtual event with no runway shows, encouraging designers to do small shows in their own studios where possible, reducing the sizes of shows. Are large fashion shows going to become a thing of the past? Is it something that we're just going to come away from because we've now got used to it going out the window?
I think since London has always had the role of being maybe a little bit more, let's say, alternative, or a little bit.
We like to call it trendy. We're the trendy ones.
Exactly. No, let's call it forward thinking. I think one thing that the Londoners have that maybe the most status quo fashion weeks, such as Paris or Milan, don't have, is that London has always been slightly more forward thinking. So I think within the UK it might work. But however, you need to think about, why do people go to fashion weeks? Apart from buyers or magazine editors or maybe big fashion influencers or content creators, most people might be coming just for the social opportunity. Sitting in the front row of London Fashion Week's most exclusive shows is a social status provider.
That's right. I think also getting Anna's view on this, although not a fashion journalist, she does go to a lot of shows. She travels a lot from country to country, and I know she works for a lot of stylists as well. The value of being seen against the commercial benefits of a designer showing, that must be something that you see whenever you're traveling to these shows.
Yeah, this is very interesting, the point you're making here. I mean, this idea of a virtual fashion show. But then again, on one hand, it is an opportunity, maybe just even to attract broader audience. I don't know. But on the other hand, there is this physical pleasure of attending a fashion show. But again, I think the world is changing, and just imagine all those measures and precautions we will have to follow with social distancing and so on. So I'm not sure if it's just possible in the nearest future. And I was actually watching quite recently an interview with Ania Rubik, one of the top Polish models, and she was saying that she's actually doing photo shoots, like posing for magazines in front of her computer. So she's remotely, you know, they're sending her clothes over and just explaining all the poses. So the world is changing definitely. And also psychologists say that at the beginning, it was very hard for us to get used to social distancing. But then there is this other question, how to get out from it. Because
Yes.
probably we will have to somehow manage and get used to be close with each other again. So this is your fashion show. I mean, just the physical experience again. Are we ready for it? I don't know.
I mean, it's interesting you're saying about the Polish model who's been posing in front of the camera for photo shoots. I want to go back to Poppy, because standing in front of a camera for new clothes is something she's doing every single day, and which for her generation, sorry ladies, is something that is absolutely the norm. I mean, Poppy, do you see that's the way it's just going to go? Everybody's going to become an influencer?
Everyone's trying. I think it is definitely a growing thing, but to relate back to the actual fashion shows, I was talking to my mum about that, and some of the points we made together, that it definitely is a social event. It's something to get dressed up for, it's something to go out for, it's something to book a hotel and a flight for, it's something to get excited about. And I don't think that even should stop almost. I know Opolly, party wear clothing brand, they were at London Fashion Week, I think it was, and they combined their online presence, because they're an online store, with this new first-hand fashion show, and they live streamed the entire thing. And I think that might be a new way of doing it, to combine them rather than only being behind a camera.
Absolutely. I mean, it's funny, I'm glad you touched on that, because it's a good way to close, because that's exactly what Fashion London is planning for September, to do a smaller runway show, but actually focus more on the live streaming aspect to make sure it's shown to anybody that wants to get it. So you've got a much bigger virtual audience. Anna, Louise and Poppy, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm sure the viewers will be absolutely fascinated by what you've had to say. We'll apologise now for anybody who lost their connection at any point, but all three of you, thank you very much for joining me on this episode of Geoff Talk.
Thank you.
Thank you, Geoff, for having us.
Thank you, Geoff. Thank you.